Welcome to the Strategy with Jason podcast. Tune in for everything you need to know to stay in the know regarding the automotive industry. Here's your host, Jason Harris.
Hey, what's going on, Podcast Nation? It is Jason Harris here, and thank you for joining me on another episode of Strategy with Jason. Today, I have a great podcast set up for you guys. We're going to talk everything Jeep, so I'm super excited about this. I have with me the famous Mr. David Hudson with me. David, what's going on?
Hey, it's everything's great in Jeep land. It's good to be a part of it there.
Now, David, you have one of the best titles in the industry, by the way. Let me see if I get this right. It is the Jeep Brand Experience and Innovation Manager.
That's correct. It's a mouthful. You got it right. Yeah, no, it's a long one. There's a lot of little pies that I get to be involved in, and I guess I'd say that I'm a very well-rounded athlete here over at the Jeep brand. So I'm blessed to be able to be a part of a bunch of different things with it.
Well, I think it's cool. But hey, David, real quick, before we jump into our topics today, we got some great ones, all right? For everyone out there that's watching and listening right now and kind of don't know how you got started in the industry, I love kicking off every one of our podcasts with a little origin story. So David, how did you get started in this crazy little world we call the automotive industry?
Oh, geez. Wow. So, I started out in the industry. Absolutely. I just a car guy, just from a kid. And I started out actually as a lot boy. So I ended up washing cars at my friend's dad's lot, and which is up in British Columbia there near Canada. And I progressed there I went to a parts and service driver. I then went to a service advisor, and and then I went to the sales team. And when I went to university, I would come back during the summers, and I would sell cars during the winter and during the summer. And then after I finished university, came back, I decided, well, hey, I want to make this my career. I want to have a go at this. And I went down and I ended up at 22 years old. I was the youngest sales consultant that Porsche had at the time. And,
wow.
and I went to the second biggest Porsche store that they had in the US, Porsche North Scottsdale. I was down there for 5 years on the floor working that. And it was a lot of fun. The economy kind of fell back out. I came back to Canada, ended up in banking and commercial finance. And, it was a great career, very successful, but, it's in your blood.
It's not automotive, right? This happens all the time. I hear these stories happen so often. You try to get out. It's like one of those old mafia movies, right? You try to get out, and then they suck you back in, and you just can't get out of it. I did the exact same thing when I sold my Mitsubishi dealership. I was like, okay, I'm done. I'm going somewhere else. I'm not going to do automotive anymore. And that lasted, I think, a whole whopping 4 weeks, maybe 5 weeks. And then I was like, I should start an agency. I should start an automotive agency. But yeah, no, you're 100% right, dude. It sucks you back in. Hey, I was thinking earlier, because we were talking earlier about, some of the brands out there that have really knocked it out of the park when it comes to an experience. And your time with Porsche is just, that's another great brand example of a company that really has kind of embraced and understood the experience behind owning and having these vehicles. And I think you've done some amazing things, with Jeep. So I can see how some of your time with Porsche is kind of influencing some of your time over here at Jeep. Is that true?
Yeah, it's interesting, Jason, and the way that I honestly describe it to people, and they go, well, hey, you're a Jeep and Porsche, and I go, here's the commonality between the two. If you were to ask a 10-year-old child or a 7-year-old child to draw me a Jeep, the child could sit there and they could draw a Jeep. They know exactly what a Jeep looks like. Yep. You ask them to draw a Porsche, child can probably draw a 911 Porsche. They know what the silhouette looks like. They know what the vehicle looks like. There's that passion and that sense with the two brands that are so iconic that a young child can simply, pencil them out. And that's the power of the brand. That's the power of both of them.
That is. And, speaking of just the power of the brand and just how brands, so there's times where we actually think brands are going to disappear. I mean, there was a point in time, kind of in the late 80s and early 90s that, they were talking about letting the Jeep brand go. And thank God that they didn't, because so many things have changed since then. I mean, you guys have some amazing new products. I mean, talk about a time to be invested in just deep into the Jeep brand. I mean, you guys have more new product, I think, just coming out in the next 24 months that you probably have in the last 20 years, combined. So let's go over some of the new product and tell me what excites you the most.
Yeah, it's funny, Jason. I mean, I've got a photo when I was younger. My friend had a brand new Jeep YJ when we were kids. It was a '95 that he got out, in high school. And then there's a picture of me sitting next to the brand new, 392, and I've got both of them together, and it's really cool because we were wrenching with my dad, putting the bumpers on and that stuff. And now, with the Wrangler, I mean, we've got both roads in the direction on it. I mean, we've got the 4xe, which gives you that electrical component up there, 25 miles of range, full electric range on it. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's potentially, if you live downtown in a city, you don't even really need to fill it up. It's just incredible. And then on the other side of the scale, we've got the 392. We've got that V8 engine, the Hemi. The Wrangler portfolio and what it's capable of now is incredible. But I think the one that I'm most excited about, and the one that the team's just been absolutely working all over for, is the Grand Wagoneer and the Wagoneer, the return of the two.
I'm with you. I'm so excited for that. I'm 100%.
29 years it's been since we've had that product out. And we were one of the original innovators of that large format SUVs. And now we're returning, and the product, they've absolutely nailed it. I've had a pleasure to be in and out of it and drive around in it. And you're going to love it. You're going to love to see it.
I'm really looking forward to it because, growing up, right, my uncle had a Wagoneer. In fact, I remember this car so much because it was a manual transmission, and
that's rare.
The
bolt action.
The front seats were bench, right? So this probably maybe in a late 60s, maybe an early 70s model, and I would sit in the middle, and he put the clutch and then tell me what gear to put it in, right? And I remember that so much. In fact, actually, I've been on the hunt for a Wagoneer. I would love to find one. In Canada, they're a little tough to find one that they haven't rusted all the way through. So I'll eventually find one. But I'm super excited to see large SUVs come back. There was a time there that they just almost kind of disappeared. And you didn't necessarily know if there was going to be a market, for big SUVs. But as technology's got better, fuel efficiency's got better. I'm with you. I mean, you guys just knocked it out of the park on this one. This is one of those few times where you see the rendering of potentially what the vehicle is going to look like, and then when you actually see the vehicle, you're like, damn, it is not far off. At all compared to what you guys, were proposing what it could potentially look like. A lot of new tech's going into that. I'm kind of curious, what part of that new Wagoneer family excites you the most?
I think it's really the opportunity that the Wagoneer, presents itself as sort of a sub brand of the Jeep. And that's how we're looking at it. The Wagoneer customers are different. Their expectations are elevated. It's, the level that we're going to provide from the dealerships is going to be on par with the offering. It really is sort of the culmination of everything we have in-house. So all of our engineering triumphs. And what I mean by that is that the vehicle, starting from the ground up, is built on the chassis, our knowledge of the 3-time Motor Trend winning, truck of the year. So you've got that foundation moving up. You've got the air ride suspension. You've got the independent rear. You've got so it not only does it rides well. I mean, just it drives and the comfort level of it. And the interior cab space. I mean, as is now the Ram half ton truck, the DT. Yeah. I mean, it has one of the biggest interiors. I think besides the Mulsanne, it's from Bentley. It's got one of the biggest interior volumes and it's out there. We're just building on that. We're making it just that much bigger. And then the interiors, I mean, just knocking it out of the park. I mean, you should gorgeous. See the suede, the Alcantara, the suede like headliner that we've got going through the whole Grand Wagoneer. It's just unbelievable. It's exquisite. I love it. What's
funny is when we were growing up, when I think of the Jeep brand, all right, the word luxury never came to mind. I mean, I spent a lot of time in, early and late model 80s Jeeps. And, they shake your teeth. They were teeth shakers, right? I mean, and like I remember, you're try driving down the highway with a buddy or something like that, and you're trying to hold a conversation, and when there's like an old school Jeep owner because they just permanently yell at everybody. Because if you've ever had to have a conversation in a Jeep going down the highway at 60, 70 miles an hour, you're not hearing a whole lot. But it's just amazing how the brand has it's just evolved. It's so much. I mean, you've still stayed true, which I love the fact that as a brand, you still stay true to real off-road, get out there, attack any adventure you want, kind of mentality. Then you have a performance portion of the Jeep brand, which is just absolutely phenomenal. I mean, look, any Jeep where you guys can install a launch control, I mean, come on. Why not, right? And then what you guys have done with the Grand Cherokee and now the Wagoneers. I mean, you have this luxury. It is just it's crazy that to think that at one point in time you thought of Jeep owners and you thought of one singular audience, right? And those were those people that hunted and fished and spent times outdoors. And now you look at the Jeep brand and it's just like there's a Jeep for everybody now. So it's very cool, very, very cool to see that. Now, not only is there a Jeep for everybody, but I also have started to see that you guys' global numbers are increasing quite a bit. So I'm actually kind of curious, how is the global Jeep growth going right now?
Yeah, that's a really key component to it. The Jeep brand all over the globe is absolutely going gangbusters on fire. We're finding that there's a huge market for us, especially in areas like Japan, South Korea, India. These are markets. Brazil is one of the stronger markets for us as well. Of course, we also have a manufacturing facility in Brazil that manufactures over there as well. And I think that what it is that the brand really speaks to it. And each region has their own ideas of what the brand is. Japan has a real Jeep, for instance. They do reforestation efforts throughout the Japan itself. Brazil has a Jeep Nation brand, and they do a lot of dealer and sort of customer opportunities all over where they do these events. They take them and they're bringing the owners in. They're showing the owners how to take the vehicles off road. They're showing them how to use the Jeeps to the fullest and really immerse in that sort of that lifestyle. And that's kind of the coolest part about being a part of the brand is that, there's a different level for everybody at entry points. So there's different ways to get into it.
I think that's really cool because look, when I think of Jeep, right, I have to admit, I've just kind of always thought it was just kind of a North America brand, right? It's just something that Canadians and Americans buy and then go play in the mud. But that's just not the case anymore. I mean, this Jeep has really become a global brand. So that's super exciting to hear that growth is going really well for you guys. Now, I know the key to any growth, all right, has a lot to do with the sales strategy. And I always find it super fascinating to see how each brand, will create its own sales strategies. And, we've connected recently and talked, about this in the past, off camera. And you guys some really cool things going on right now in Jeep world. So what are some of the new Jeep sales strategies that you guys are currently working on right now?
Well, I think it really goes back to listening to the customers and listening to what the customers, they want something certainly that's authentic. They want something that can represent what the heritage pieces bring to the table, but they also want something that's more modern to them. But not say modern that the brand's not modern, but more of electrification, more components like that. And with the Wrangler 4xe, with the electrification of that, I mean, we've made a commitment to make all the nameplates electrified. And we have announced that the Grand Cherokee will be the next vehicle, at least in the North American shores here, that will receive the electrification. Over in Europe, we already have the Compass and the Renegade running right now electrically in the PHEVs. So cool. In both those models.
Now, from a sales perspective, I know you guys have worked with a couple different programs, lately, and the one that we connected about recently, which I'm really excited to kind of deep dive into, is your guys' My Freedom program. Because you mentioned it earlier, and it's in your title, which I think is so cool. I actually am very fascinated with your title, by the way. As long as it is, I'm super fascinated with your title because it's experience and innovation, right? And I don't think in our industry we typically look at the two of those being side by side. But as when I think of kind of the dealer side, a lot of managers are listening right now and stuff like that. We chase the dragon that is experience. We all want, right, to try to define, what that amazing experience is, and the better our experience, right, the better we connect with our customers, the better our sales are, and so on and so forth. But it really does require a level of innovation. So this new program that you guys are running, this My Freedom, I think really does bring innovation and an experience to it. Can we go into that a little deeper as far as like what the program is? How did you get created? I would love to be a fly on the wall during this meeting.
Yeah, no, Jason, that program has been going for a number of years, trying to get it to iteration and to launch. And yesterday we did launch. We started the borrowing aspect of it, a pilot program that we're running in Texas, and it's a really, really unique sort of innovation program. And to be a part of that with the journey and finally, to have its culmination and out in the marketplace is cool. When you're a dealer, you've always got your reps coming in and talking to you about market share and this and that. And as a dealer, as a manager, you just say, I don't want to hear about share. Tell me about how many cars I can sell, how much money I can make, and that sort of aspect of it. But as a manufacturer, we look at things more or less from like, well, how much share? How are we going to increase share? How are we going to get more vehicles out there? How are we going to do that? And we looked at the amount of what our targets for sales worldwide. And we thought, we can't simply just create more share or more demand just by coming out with different things. And we looked at the retail models and we looked at what's been out there now. And the landscape really hasn't changed in the last 20, 30, 40 years. I mean, you've got retail purchase and you've got financing and you've got leasing. Now, there are some forays into subscription and that kind of stuff, but we haven't really seen the entry into that. And so that's really what the program and the My Freedom program does, is it gets into the subscription and gets into sort of that peer-to-peer and the borrowing aspect of it. And so the one that we're running in the Texas program, it's a very unique program. Now, the idea is that and dealers listening love this. The idea is that as great as a Wrangler is off-roading in its capabilities, there are some aspects of it. Let's say for a two-door Wrangler, it just doesn't have the size that you need. So there might be some components or some days where you might need a pickup truck. You might need to put some mulch in the back or something like that. So to help and augment the Wrangler's capability, what's going on with the program is that you purchase a Wrangler, and then you're going to get 6 credits or 6 tokens. These 6 credits and 6 tokens are good for daily use, sort of use rates of another vehicle from the dealership. So essentially, you can come in and then you can reserve like a pickup truck to you for use for a day. That's awesome. You can use a Dodge Challenger for let's say a date night. You've got family and the in-laws coming into town. You can use a credit to take home a Grand Caravan or a Pacifica to move that around. So it really augments and helps push the vehicle into that area. We have I would argue that the Stellantis brands has the largest fleet covering the most amount of markets. So we can offer a very large, wide range of vehicles that you need for almost any purpose. And it just gives another reason for the management and the stores to help close that deal. So, for instance, Jason, if you were looking for at a two-door Wrangler, and
which is a beautiful
your spouse is going, "Are you crazy? There's not enough room for the kids." As a salesperson, I can say, "Well, hey, Jason, how many days a week do you think that you're going to need to go on a road trip?" Well, we go on a road trip maybe 4 or 5 days a year. Well, if you had a Grand Caravan for those 4 or 5 days, would that be enough to suit your needs? Well, yeah, I think it would. And that's the idea. The idea is to help augment sales and help them drive more sales.
No, look, I think it's super cool because I think even for myself, right? Like I have a full size SUV outside with a big V8 in it, and I got it because once or twice a year I got to tow my boat, and once or twice a year I got to pull my trailer and my ATV and stuff like that, and I just like I don't know what gas prices are for you guys right now, but gas prices in Canada are ridiculous. We're almost $1.40 a liter, and Oof. I'm just going, I'm just glad that I'm not traveling a lot right now because of the lockdown that we're currently in. I'm just able to do a lot of these Zoom calls. But I bought this vehicle, and I thought about it afterwards. I'm like, I bought a vehicle, and I had to step up to another level to get the big V8, so I get the towing capability for something that I only do 4 or 5 times a year. And I'm going, I don't know if that's necessarily a great idea, but it is what it is. And you guys have answered that. I think there's a lot of people out there that are like me that do need that truck, once or twice a year so they can, go take the boat and drop it in the lake and then come back and pick it up when the season's over, right? And then there are people that have family come into town and, they don't need all that room all the time. But when they do come into town, it's so awesome. I could just go and do that. I know it's early, but I think this program is freaking awesome. I gotta be honest with you. I just think it's freaking awesome, right? Because I can't wait to see what the analytics are coming back from this. Because, I don't think there's another brand out there that has made it this easy to just engage, not with just the product that they own, but also just, the entire family of vehicles, all right, that you guys have. Because, the one thing I love about Stellantis and all the brands are in there is that you guys make amazing purpose-built vehicles, all right? But I don't always need every purpose every single day. So I think a lot of consumers out there are kind of stuck in buying something that they're trying to cover all purposes, but it doesn't quite, I agree with you. It doesn't always connect with the customer. Now it gives that customer the opportunity to decide what purpose-built vehicle they want, and then they can connect with other vehicles. I think it's awesome.
It narrows the focus.
Yeah.
And I think that, the more narrower and more direct you are, the more that is purpose-built, but then they get the best of that. And that's sort of what we're seeing with consumption models with consumers everywhere.
Sure.
Everybody is going to, very, very specific consumer things and very refined in all sorts of consumer products. And I think that the ability to offer all that and augment it, one of the things that I think that it's important to the dealer side of it is that we're utilizing the dealer's fleet. So yes, dealers are often have like a courtesy transportation fleet that is underutilized, and that's what we're doing with them. So we're also working to weaponize their inventory on that. So we're taking them from, let's say, a 60% utilization rate to hopefully a 90% utilization rate on their courtesy transportation fleet. So and then of course we're funding them for the rates that they use on that as well for the vehicles. But it's a great way to augment it. And the other way that we look at it is that, just as you said, Jason, so we are now getting access to maybe, you own a Jeep, but perhaps you have let's say a competitor's truck.
Sure. Right.
Say you've got a Chevy or an F-150, and that it's very difficult within those brands to have somebody bleed over across. Usually, if you look at Toyota and Nissan, the difficulty. I think Nissan they don't sell the Titan in Canada anymore. I don't think, right?
No, they're stopping. Yeah.
I don't think so. It's a very difficult competitive market. So to get someone to move over to your product, it's very difficult
and very expensive.
But we think that now we're offering someone a 24-hour test drive with one of our sister brands, with the Ram truck. So now they get to go home. They get to experience the difference of the independent multi-link coil suspension truck that the Ram has, as opposed to some of the other offerings. And we think that globally that's going to help the sales. Also, it's going to create lists for us to follow up on. So, for instance, Jason, let's say you did buy a 2-door Wrangler, and over the purchase, you've been using your credits, but you specifically swayed to using this truck, and you've taken it 4 or 5 times. That's a reason for me to call you and say, hey, Jason, notice that you've taken the truck out a couple of times. Well, yeah. Well, have your needs changed? Oh, yeah. I've got two giant St. Bernards now, and it just doesn't quite fit in the Wrangler as well. So the truck's there. Well, hey, great. We're actually retiring that vehicle at our service, and we've got an offer for you on this. Why don't you come in and we can talk about that?
See, I think that's awesome. I think there's so much opportunity for the dealerships to get back behind this, and I gotta applaud, you guys for putting something like this together. I mean, look, the relationship between manufacturer and dealer um, can go up and down and side to side, right? Which makes sense. Look, there's it's a wholesale and a retailer relationship, right? And to see the wholesaler really kind of do something that I see so much benefit for the retailer. It's amazing. Like I seriously think it's very, very cool. I mean, I can't tell you how many Jeep owners I know where the second vehicle, in that driveway is not one of you guys' brands. It's another brand. But now this opens up that door to have those conversations. Now, is this just Jeep Wranglers, or is this all Jeeps that qualify for the My Freedom program? I was
Yeah,
thinking
so the
about
My
that.
Freedom program, we've got the website up as well. So anybody that's listening can have a look at the website. It's drivemyfreedom.com, and then it's Wrangler. It's the Wrangler program on there, and it is just for Wranglers. It is in Texas right now, so you got to be a resident of Texas and a Texas dealer that's signed up and authorized on that. That's decided to participate in the program. So right now we are starting it with Wranglers, but we see it moving off to the other vehicles as well. So you simply a Renegade or a Grand Cherokee. Maybe with a Grand Cherokee L, you really need the third row. You want the space, but occasionally you do want to try out a Wrangler, for a 2-day adventure or something like that.
Yeah.
And again, you can. That's what we're looking to have the program as an extension of that Jeep ownership, of that sort of exclusivity of it. Yeah.
Well, you know what? It definitely brings an innovative experience to owning that product, and I think it's so cool. And I'm so excited to see how the program will continue to evolve. And honestly, I can't wait. We'll have to do like another one of these like a year from now, and really start diving into the analytics and how it's affecting the dealership, because I seriously think you guys are onto something here that's insanely big, and I just don't know of another brand that has gone down this direction. So I applaud you. I think this is very, very cool. Look, I know we're getting towards the tail end of our time today, but before I let you go, I want to talk a little bit about the future of the Jeep brand. We talked about some of the new products and stuff like that, but I'm curious, what is on the horizon for Jeep? What can we expect, in the next 5 years?
Yeah, I mean, the next 5 years, we will see there's going to be a huge connectivity. There's going to be a huge electrification component of what we're coming out with, and you're going to see the brand continue down its strong road. So we'll continue to have that performance aspect of it. We will continue to have the electrification, and we'll have the connectivity of it. And our goal is Jason, is to be one of the greenest SUV brand out there.
Ooh, no, that's
we
bold. That's
are
pretty
really
cool.
stepping in and leaning into the making those changes, and it's great. The amount of sales that we have had, and the orders. I mean, they're sold out for the 4xe for 21. I know that, but it's just the demand for that is insatiable. People really like what the Wrangler and it can offer, especially in the electrified format. So it's been a real treat to help govern and steer down that road and fine tune it. Yeah.
No, I think it's cool. Look, as we know the Jeep brand, all right, we never really you never associate Jeep and technology. Right?
Yeah.
I think Jeep was one of the brands for the longest time that still had a manual window function. Actually, I think it was probably the last brand that still had manual windows within it, right? But that's okay, because that's what it was. It was a no frills, get out, go everywhere, do everything thing, but a vehicle. But now you guys are bringing the tech, And it is so exciting to see what you guys will do with the tech moving forward, not just in connectivity and fuel efficiency, but also off-road tech. I've seen now there's a bunch of off-road cameras that will show me underneath the car of like where I'm touching, what I'm not touching. Like it is so cool to see what you guys are doing on that side. And then to see the performance part of the Jeep brand. I mean, come on. Let's stick a Monster V8 into a Wrangler. Because we can. I mean, it's almost 500. What is it? 400 and what was the power output? 470. Is that what it is? 470 horsepower.
Yep.
Because Jeep Wrangler needs 470 horsepower.
Oh, exactly.
I love it, but we're gonna do it because you can, right? And then what you guys are doing on the luxury side, I've seen the interior pictures. I can't wait to actually feel and touch and drive a Wagoneer because that interior really does. It just doesn't look like a Jeep. It just doesn't. So I'm super cool to see that. So it's amazing to watch what the brand is doing. It's amazing to see what you're doing with the brand. For everyone out there that's watching and listening, David, and would love to kind of connect with you. And, we continue these conversations. What's the best way for someone to do that?
Probably the best way to reach out to me is dave.hudson@stellantis.com. It would be my email there at corporate.
And then I'm going to tell you guys to hit him up on LinkedIn. Connect with him on LinkedIn. I'm trying to get everyone to connect on LinkedIn.
Real exciting. I don't know if you're gonna be down at Digital Dealer. Well, I'm sure. I don't think you're gonna be able, guys.
No,
be able to get there.
I will be there. Let's do it.
Oh, fantastic! Yeah, so I'll be seeing you down there. I'm presenting a session on mobility and for the brand on the 8th.
That is exciting. I will be front row. I will make sure to heckle the crap out of you. Hey, David, thank you so much for taking the time to jam with me today. This has been a ton of fun. You have yourself an amazing day.
Thanks, Jason.
Thanks for tuning in to the Strategy with Jason podcast with your host, Jason Harris. Don't want to miss new content? Be sure to check out the full podcast library at strategywithjason.com to stay in the know. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe. Happy podcasting.